Hello, this is a demo of some new cockpit behavior that is targeted at Anaconda mode when you use Cockpit to prepare your storage for a new installation. But let's pretend it's good enough behavior that we also want it as in regular Cockpit. It's about btrfs, so let's create, let's create a new btrfs. And we don't mount it. This is Anaconda. Anaconda doesn't want you or doesn't need you to mount stuff, really. Yeah, we don't even give it a mount point. But yeah, let's see. So, and yeah, I guess this is already new. No, not really. Sorry, not new. Cockpit always knows that there's at least a root subvolume here. Sorry, forget about that. So, but what is new now is that you can create subvolumes right away. And let's make the regular home one. Even though nothing is mounted here, btrfs has this property that you need to use the kernel API to do many things to the file system, so it needs to be mounted. And yeah, you need to have access to the subvolumes in your file system already in order to create more or to delete them. And so magically, Cockpit doesn't seem to need this now. We can create subvolumes and delete them also without having anything mounted. The first magic thing is maybe even that we can list the subvolumes without having anything mounted. And the reason is, of course, that Cockpit does mount the file system in the background. So we have here the secret mount on varlib cockpit btrfs. This is the UUID of it. And it does it to be able to use the kernel to do all the modifications and all the things that you want to do with btrfs. And it only mounts it once when it is created or when the cockpit session starts, and it gets unmounted when the cockpit session is ended. So there is no how do you say, no constant mounting and unmounting of the file system, since we also unfortunately need to pull it because we don't get any change notifications when subvolumes are created externally. So yeah, you can, for example, explore this a little bit more. I think this is already the end of the Anaconda mode. It just works without mounting anything. And there's a secret mount in the background that goes away at the right time. So I think that's fine. But let's mount this home thing now. And if we would also use this new behavior for a normal server, which normally has things mounted, then as soon as one of them is mounted, the secret mount goes away and Cockpit just uses the real mount point to do whatever it needs to do. There's only the restriction that now stuff that is outside of this subvolume that is mounted cannot be modified anymore. So we couldn't create any subvolumes in the root here, or we couldn't delete this one, which is not under home. But this is also fixed now. So for this operation, Cockpit will very briefly, temporarily mount the root subvolume to delete this now. And I think that's acceptable. This is only in reaction to some user request and doesn't happen every 5 seconds when we pull btrfs. So I think that's okay. Yeah, there's maybe one more thing. So the reason why we might want to restrict that to Anaconda mode is because this secret mount point, even though it works quite well, is maybe stepping outside of the mandate of Cockpit a little bit. So people don't expect Cockpit to do these kind of things like keeping stuff mounted secretly. So what do I want to show actually? Yeah, let's unmount this. And now the secret mount should come back. There it is again, and Cockpit uses that now. And yeah, let's say you're on the terminal and you hack around in your system, and something keeps your btrfs file system busy and you don't understand it, but then you find this mount and just say, I don't want this, go away please, and you just unmount it. Then it will not come back automatically. So Cockpit will not fight you. And so now nothing has changed here, but weird stuff will probably happen now. If you now create this garden subvolume again, yeah, you get this error here. There's some debugging output here that should not appear, but yeah, I think you can improve the error message, but you know, Cockpit is basically broken at this point because you messed with the implementation of it. And I think that's also fine. And you know what you're doing, I hope. And then when you reload Cockpit as a fix for everything, and then you can create subvolumes again, because now you have a new session and the secret mount point is back. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks a lot.